Okay, hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how I go editing this photo and going from this raw file to this, from this to this. That's what I'm going to be doing in this video. It's going to be like a very quick video, so I'm just going to be showing, I've retouched the photo already. I'm just going to be showing how I go about it real quick. Starting from the raw file, once upon a time what I would do is I would always create a duplicate copy, which is Command J, then work on that. I may start working from that copy, but it increases the file size unnecessarily. So it's always better, instead of, you see the difference here. Let me show you. This is 111 right now. If I go here and I make a duplicate copy, you see, it takes it from 111 to 125. You see? So if I go to here and I delete this duplicate copy, and if I just instead I just create a blank copy, you see, this remains 111. So that's the reason why it's always good to not create unnecessary copies of, unnecessarily create any copy at all, because it ends up increasing the file size, which ends up slowing down your laptop and ends up, taking unnecessary space. So back to the retouching. I start from the raw file. I create a new layer, which usually I call healing. I create a new layer, and on this layer, usually this is where you do all the skin healing with the healing brush, where you remove the blemishes, where you fix, with healing brush, which shortcut is J. With this healing layer now is where you would usually want to do your healing and fix, minor, pimples, remove, basically do your background cleanup, do your clone stamp. So we call it healing. If you look at this now, I mean, there's not so much to be done on this particular image when it comes to retouching, but I'm still just going to show you guys. So for this image now, on my healing layer, all I wanted to do was just basically remove this, because it was kind of distracting, this stuff. I just wanted to kind of get this out of the way, and so I did it partially on the healing layer. I think that was the only thing I kind of did on the healing layer, and you might not be able to see it, but if you look properly, you could, I'm gonna, before, after, let me show you. So before, after, it might not be so obvious before, after, but even after the healing, it still leaves a kind of color, it leaves like a dark brown behind, which it leaves something behind, So I healed it, but I now went into so after the healing, I go into my dodge and burn, and I basically use, because at the end of the day, like I said in one of my previous posts, I said photos are basically broken down into colors, which is the skin tone and the rest, texture, which is the skin pores, skin details, air beds, details, and luminosity, which is the brightness and darkness. That's all every photo is. So I go into my dodge and burn layer. I create a dodge and burn adjustment layer, which you could find in my action pack, you know, the action pack I put out. And with the dodge and burn layer, if you look, this is the before, and this is the after. So before, after, I just kind of use that dodge and burn to just kind of fix that a bit, nothing too crazy. And then what I do is I just use this burn layer to just kind of enhance this what would I call it, this shadow here, I think the jawline, I think that's what you call it, or whatever they call it, the contour. Because I do more of female retouching. You know, when it comes to guys, it's a very different process of retouching. But yes, I guess you would still call this a contour or a jawline or whatever they call it. And I did this. If you look at the difference, you see before, after, before, after. We're just looking at this part over here, right? This part over here. And you see before and after. Then brightness, you see what happens over here. I just used my dodge layer and just put some lights over here, something like this. Then we go to the eyes. You see the eyes right now? The eyes are properly lit, but there's just some reds in the eyes. You know, everyone's got some reds in the eyes every now and then, you know, from tiredness and all. So all I do is I just go to the eyes and I remove the reds, clean it up, brighten it up a bit. You see the eyes before and after? And basically every action I'm doing here, you know, there's the action for it in my retouching action pack. So this is just very simple. With my whiten eyes action, I fix this. You see, that's just to whiten the eyes with the action. Then I also use the iris pop. You see the difference? You see what this does? So this is the iris pop at work. I like the iris pop very much. It just puts a pop in the eyes. So I group it together and I just name it eyes. So that's the eyes before and after. Then I do a bit of color balance because the image felt a bit on the cold side, you know. And let me zoom out. You see? So what I do is I just come here and you see the difference. Right now it feels a bit cold, a bit bluish. When we say cold, there's like a kind of blue tone in the image. So I just come here and I kind of warm it up a bit, just with the color balance. In fact, the only thing I've done here is I've taken the mid-tone and I've taken it to -5. What else did I do? In the shadow, I did nothing. In the highlights, I also increased the red. So +5 highlight, -5 mid-tones on the yellow. So that, you know, took me to this. We just kind of put some reds in the image, which is what I kind of wanted. Then I decided to group the layer when we got to this point. I'm not sure why I decided to group it here, but okay, so it's grouped. God knows why it's grouped there. And then this curve, what does this curve do? It's always good to be very organized, meaning usually every time you create something, it's always good to name it, just so that you know exactly what, you know, every single thing is doing, so you don't get too disorganized. This now, I mean, usually I try to always keep my work organized and keep my layers named, and you know, sometimes, you know, I'm just doing something really quick and I'm not really, but this was a very quick edit. So when I'm looking at it now, this curve layer, I'm thinking to myself, what is this curve layer doing? Probably this curve layer is, let me look to see. This curve layer is doing absolutely nothing. Alright, great. So all I need to do is I just delete it because absolutely it's doing absolutely nothing. Okay, I wanted to use that curve layer to bring down the brightness a bit. That's what I wanted to do, but I decided to, instead of using the curve layer to do that, I just used the brightness adjustment layer to do it. So I just went here, brightness, you know, selected it. So I decided to use that to kind of bring down the brightness a bit. If you look, not too much, very subtle, but if you look, I think it's like -5. Yeah, I just took the brightness just a tiny bit down, -5. You see that before, after, -5%, nothing much. If you look at it before, after, before, if you look at it before, after, nothing too, you know, crazy. Then after that, everything looked nice, but I just decided to add in my frequency separation layer. Because if you look somewhere here, there's something going on somewhere here. Let me see if I could bring that out. There's just a little bit of brown somewhere here. So what I did is I just used my frequency separation layer to just fix that a little bit. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somewhere here, over here. There's something just, even it out just a little bit. That was the only thing I did with the frequency separation, because like I said, this image didn't need so much edit. Then I grouped it, and that was that. Basically, that's the end of that. Then I decided, you know what, let me see what it's gonna look like in black and white. So I decided to, do my black and white edit. So I created a layer and put my black and white edit. Start with the black and white. Depending on the image, usually put the black and white, balance the colors in the black and white, and then adjust the brightness in the black and white layer, because black and white and color version sometimes they just need a bit of a difference in luminosity. So yeah, I just decided to give it a shot. This is the black and white, this is the color. Let me zoom out. Black and white color, nothing too crazy. Then the last thing I do is just go here and sharpen the eyes with the sharpen action in the action Retouching action pack. This action also is part of it, and I just sharpen the eyes, and basically I think that's everything. So if you look at the editing process, at the end of the day, you could tell that it's basically broken down into three simple steps. The first steps is layers, working with layers. When it comes to editing, I think retouching is simply broken down into layers, adjustments, layers as well, and masks. Because at the end of the day, we need to mask whatever we want to the specific. So yeah, anyone new to retouching, I think those are three things they need to understand. Retouching basically means we are creating layers and working on layers. We are creating adjustment layers, These are called adjustment layers. So we are working with adjustment layers constantly, and we are working with masks constantly. For example, this mask, what the mask does is like black, anything that is in black is invisible, and anything that is painted white in this mask becomes visible. So if I go to the eyes, for example, and I go to white, let me zoom in. And you see here, let me remove this black and white, because I think, yes, and I come back to this mask. First of all, to see what is masked and what is not, this backslash, that's the shortcut. So backslash shows me everything that is in red right now. Red represents the black, and anything that is white, transparent, represents white. Makes sense, right? So basically, let me zoom out. Everything that is black right now, it means this effect is not going to affect it. So it's called whiten eyes. It simply means I want the effect only on the eyes. So if you look at the image, you'll notice that the only part that is, painted white are the eyes. So this shortcut now allows me, let's say for example, let me grab my brush. Let's say for example, I paint mistakenly, and while I'm painting these eyes white, I'm going to switch my brush to white over here and switch. All right. So let's say for example, and increase my flow as well, just to make it So let's say, for example, while I'm painting the eyes white, I mistakenly go out and I paint here as well. Ooh, in fact, I go to the eyeballs, the iris, and I also mistakenly paint it white. You're gonna see what's gonna happen. I remove this, and it's gonna be, let me go out and show what this, because anything on top of a layer overrides that layer. So I have to remove all these ones on top just to be able to show what this will look like. Okay, so you see what I'm saying now? You see? Because I mistakenly painted, you see, and all I wanted was for this to affect the whites because, but now I painted outside of it, and look at what's done. Look at what has happened, So all I have to do now is I have to just grab a black brush. I have to just go here, grab a black brush, switch, and grab a black brush and basically paint this back to black. I'm painting on the mask, and I'm painting this black to remove the effect from wherever I don't want it. Where this shortcut comes in handy is sometimes, you can't really see, to be precise. So this kind of helps us to be able to really see what we're doing, and it just helps us to know where is masked in and where is masked out. So it's a shortcut that is really helpful whenever you're working with masks, and that's the backslash. Yeah, it's the backslash. That's what they call it, right? The backslash. The key right on top of the enter button on the Mac. Yes, backslash. So backslash, shows you the mask, and backslash again remove the mask. You see, I've got the mask now on this eyes. I've got the effect now on this eye, so I need to actually go to black and paint this black because I don't want to whiten the iris. I just want to whiten the eyes, the eye white, not the iris. So I just removed it from here now, and you see the difference. You see the difference? So you see, this is without the white, and this is after the white. Without the white, after the white, you probably want to spend more time to get it right, because probably if you have it on the lashes, on the eyelashes and all that, then that's not good. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to show a quick, because the thing is, it's always interesting when we go back, and for us it is very basic, stuff. It's always interesting to realize that some people actually don't know this stuff, and that's why I need to say this stuff, because to someone that is used to Photoshop, they're like, what are you saying? Of course, I mean, everybody knows this. But it turns out, no, not everybody knows this. Apparently, someone new to Photoshop, and everybody started someday, and even me myself, at some point, I also did not know this. Obviously, that was a while ago. So I'm just making this video for someone out there that is also just starting out and doesn't understand this very simple concept. Retouching is broken down into working on layers, working with adjustment layers, and working with masks. I mean, that's the basics. That's where we start from. As time goes on, it starts to get more advanced and all that. But for beginners, understanding, working on layers, working with adjustment layers, and learning to work with masks changes everything. Once you understand that, I think you start to get to the right part. So before, and let's go to the after. Dodge and burn, burn, dodge, eyes, color balance. Oh, my camera raw settings. Here I did some camera raw. I put in some clarity because usually I like my images like grungy when it comes to guys. So in this layer, this layer is where I put my camera raw. I probably increase the clarity. you know, then brightness, then frequency separation. Nothing crazy happened there, but yeah. Then something like this. Then I create a black and white version and I just sharpen it. And that's that. Easy peasy. Everything I've done here could be done with the action pack. The action pack has got the dot, has got the burn, has got the whiten eyes, has got the whiten iris pop, you know. It's got the camera raw settings, it's got the sharpen, and yeah, I think that's about that. And also, you know, I mentioned to someone yesterday, I always recommend using actions in the button mode. And what's the button mode? You basically go here, and click on button mode. Because when you don't use the button mode, you're stuck with this version of the action. And with this, to run an action, you click on it, you click on play, then it runs, which is kind of like a waste of time. With the button mode, with just a single click, just a touch, and it creates what I want. I'm going to delete that because. So yes, I highly recommend working on the button mode. So yes, thank you for watching. And if there is any question anyone has got to ask about you know, anything I missed out, just feel free to contact me and ask. I mean, I'll be glad to answer and I'll be glad to help. So yes, thank you for watching and bye for now.